Welcome back to Taival Outdoors. I wanted to do a quick video today because I've been thinking for a while, what if I could use this Trangia triangle as a support for a very small, in fact a tiny Swedish fire log, and use that setup to boil some water. In theory it should work. I have a base plate here, and finally we don't have a forest fire warning on, so I can actually test this setup. So this is how the Trangia triangle would normally look like. I would use this with the standard Trangia Spirit burner. It's a very lightweight, easy setup, but it does require external windscreen to be effective. My goal is to use it without this ring, just like so. Obviously, this piece of wood that I have here is way too big for that one. So first, I will need to make a bit shorter a log for myself. So maybe something like this. And this in itself is also too much and doesn't really work as a Swedish fire log. So I'll just peel off this bark to use for later. Now we need to split this. There's already a crack there, so I try to make use of that. Like so, and maybe one more. All right. Usually when creating a fire log, you would also carve out the middle sections to form a chimney. But in this case, it looks like the setup will be so loose that I won't need that chimney, but I will do some carving anyway to maybe increase the chances of all of these blocks catching fire. So nothing crazy. Now the tricky part with this setup is that normally you would light the Swedish fire log from the sides by sticking, let's say, birch bark to the sides and lighting it up. But because the sides are blocked with this setup, I will have to try to light it up from top, and also I will push some of these through the biggest holes down here at the bottom and see if that would also help. All right, I think that looks fairly promising. Promising to me. Obviously my first mistake here was that these 3 pieces of wood were still a bit too tall for this setup. However, I believe that I can still, once this starts to get going, balance this pot on top of all 3. Let's see. This looks to be going fairly nice, so let's try this. There we go. You might be wondering, why am I even trying something like this? What would be the use case where this would come in handy? Well, I figured that since I'm carrying Trangia triangle anyway on every trip that I plan to cook something or boil water, I'd like to know how well this setup works if I ran out of fuel. I carry only maximum of ½ liter fuel for the basic Trangia burner. If that runs out, then I know that at least I can run it also with, well, almost like a twig stove as well, but for that feeding the fire would be very, very difficult. But if I can find some bigger pieces of maybe some dried up branches or something, this would work nicely with that as well. So I got myself a multi-fuel stove without actually purchasing a multi-fuel stove. Well, after 17 minutes, I regret to say that there never was a full rolling boil, and that's because this Trangia triangle is very inefficient system when there is even a slight breeze, and I didn't have any windbreak, and as you can see from the smoke, it was quite windy, or it still is quite windy, but clearly the wind blew quite a bit of the heat out here. So the test wasn't a complete failure in the sense that now I learned more. I know that if I'm using this type of a setup, I definitely still need to use my aluminum foil windscreen. But what I did discover is that this triangle setup in general holds together very well even without this ring. So that's good to know. There is still plenty of heat coming off, of course, but I doubt that it would be enough to get this thing boiling. But anyway, a nice little experiment today. In case I failed to mention, I am in my own backyard, in my own property, so making this type of fire is not a problem. I will now make sure that the fire dies down completely and then pack things up. But who knows, maybe during some trip that I will take backpacking, if I run out of that fuel, I will make sure to film my second attempt with this kind of a setup in a proper scenario, in real conditions, so to speak. But let me know if you tried something similar yourself. I would be interested to know if there's a trick to that, or if you have experimented as well. But anyway, that's all for this time. Thanks for watching Taival Outdoors. I'll see you all in the next one.